Hey everybody, welcome back to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and here on my YouTube channel, and this is part 2 of a 4-part video series where we're taking a look at the Freqtube by Freqport. Last video in part 1, we did a basic walkthrough. We listened to it on a few different sound sources. This video, part 2 and part 3, we're going to do something pretty cool. We're going to compare them to a couple of different saturation or tube saturation plugins just to see how does this Freqtube kind of hold up against some of the more popular plugins. So that's what we're going to do in this video. So make sure you like, share, subscribe. Also, make sure you go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and get the free mixing course that is right on the homepage. It's my gift to you just for visiting homerecordingmadeeasy.com, and you absolutely want to get that free course, which will put you on my email list. And you say, why is that, Dave? Because the good folks at Freqtube, or the good folks at Freqport, are going to let me give away this Freqtube as part of a mixing contest prize that we're going to be having coming up in the next few months, probably in one of our volumes of the Cover Song Mixing Challenge. So if you don't know what that is, make sure you go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com, get that free mixing course, get on the email list, get in the know, because you can have a chance to win this Freqtube. So that's pretty cool. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I'll give you something else for free. Okay, so here we are in Studio One. So this time out, we're going to compare this Freqtube to one of my favorite tube saturation kind of plugins, which is the Slate Digital, part of the virtual mix rack called the Virtual Tube Collection, which is the New York, the London, and the Hollywood. And we'll talk a little bit about that stuff in a second. I just want to get a feel for how does this sound compared to a plugin, because let's face it, this Freqtube is $1,000 as I sit here and watch this video. So how much better or different or whatever does it sound to some plugins? I don't know. We're going to find out. And hats off to Freqport for allowing me to do this, because I asked them, because this is a sponsored video in that they're allowing me to give this away for free. They gave this to me for free to do this review. And I asked them as part of this video series, are you cool with me comparing it to plugins and letting people hear for themselves? How confident you are in your product? And they said, hey man, do whatever you got to do. We want you to put it through its paces. So that's what we're going to do. So pretty cool. So again, sound is very subjective. You guys will have to let me know in the comments below what you think. But this video, we'll do the Virtual Tube Collection by Slate. Next video, we may take a look at a couple of Waves plugins that are like tube emulation and maybe some SSL native tube saturation plugins. I have a handful. And if there's specific ones you want me to do, knock the camera there, just specific ones you want me to do in the future, leave that in the comments below as well. So like, share, subscribe, sponsored video, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you go watch part 1. Okay, so this song that we have here is the same song we used in the last video. We did our sound examples of the Freqtube. This is the country artist Lori Kole. The name of this song is Bare Feet and Butterflies. All I did was import the audio, threw up the faders, did a little bit of panning. There's no compression, there's no EQ, there's no nothing on this entire track. There was a tiny bit of plate reverb on her lead vocal, and that is it. So you're hearing this thing on a raw track, which is the way I like to do this. These right now are placed on the master bus, okay? So we have the Freqtube here, and we're using the E83CC tubes. We have the 12 AT7s on the drum bus, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but right now it's in bypass mode. And then we have our Slate Digital Virtual Tube Collection right now in bypass mode, all the different modules. We're going to shut them off here. Do we have the New York, come on now, the New York, the London, and the Hollywood, which all have a little bit of a different flavor. These you can either use the preamp emulation or the console emulation. You can have it in normal or push mode. We'll toy around with that. Again, it's not a one-to-one comparison. We're just trying to, saturation is saturation. They're all going to sound a little different, but let's just see how the hardware, the Freqtube stands up against some plugins. So we're going to bypass everything right now. Okay. So this is just the raw track, a little bit of Lori Kole, Bare Feet and Butterflies. Make sure you check her links out in the description box below. We love Lori Kole, and Lori, thank you so much for allowing us to use this in your song in this video. So I'm going to play this back. I'm going to turn on the Freqtube, kind of dial it in to where I think it sounds pretty good on a mix bus, and then we're going to flip back and forth and compare it to the Slate stuff. Here we go.
Summertime and there's tiger lilies waking up on the side of the road. I've been chasing my tail way too long, and it's time that I go home. I gotta water my roots and fill my boots with memories
So on the Freqport, keep your eye on the bottom left-hand corner here. You'll see me clicking the bypass on and off. This way I don't have to put text all over the screen, okay? Just keep your eye on it. You'll hear it, but just keep your eye on the bypass.
Going home is like a kind of therapy. The only place where I'm gonna find me is down at the end of a dirt road. I never left 'cause I never really let go. Still the carefree, innocent girl. This little farm was her whole wide world. I don't wear hand-me-downs and I don't chew crab grass. A lot of things have gone in my past. Truth is deep down inside, I'm still all about bare feet and butterflies.
Okay, so pretty subtle, just like it was in the last video. This has got a nice little warmth, a nice little buildup on the bottom end, which I really like. Now, a couple of things I didn't show you in the plugin the first time around that I figured out. So let me do that before I get ahead of myself. Last time I said, how do you change the colors here? And you'll see it on the LCD screen. Hopefully the lighting is good enough to where you can see that. You can do that right up here. Click on this little oil can and you can change the colors of your controls here, which is kind of cool. So when you have two instances of the plugin, you can have the first four controls one color and the second four controls for the or of a different color. So that's pretty cool. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing I want to show you is under this gear icon, we have two modes here. We have maximum headroom and we have mixer overdrive. And the difference between those are, if I'm on mixer overdrive, the more I turn up the drive, things are going to distort and break up a little bit faster. Maximum headroom, you're going to get a lot more, it's going to be a lot slower of a taper to give you that additional overdrive. So you can set that however you want. Then we have our system updates. The other thing you can do here too is if you click on this little eye next to the oil can here, you'll see a little display come up and kind of show you the routing of the signal flow through this thing. And this is really helpful when you want to turn on the primary filter or the parallel filter. So you can see this little diagram. It goes from the drive down to the wet dry knob here, okay? And then if I turn on, let's say, the primary filter, you can see how things are routed here. See the routing of how the audio gets routed through this thing, which is kind of cool. So that's another thing that you can toy around with if you didn't know. Also, talking to, you could turn the tubes on and off here. I don't know if I showed you that before. Yeah, I might have. The one thing that we don't have here currently is we don't have auto gain compensation. So as I turn up the drive, the output doesn't turn down. You have to do that yourself. That's being fixed in a firmware update. So those are the few things that I just wanted to mention to you. Okay, so that is, let's listen back a little more. I'll just bypass this again. We'll turn it on and off, and then we'll listen to the Slate Digital stuff, and we'll bounce back and forth. Here we go.
I'll throw my arms around some more folks before they start to disappear. Listen to a bit of that radio station, the only one that comes in clear. We'll sing along to some old song, dance around the living room. And even though I know I'll have to leave again, doesn't matter 'cause where I am is down at.
Okay, cool. So now let's just bypass this for a second. Let's come over here to the Slate Digital stuff, and let's just start with the New York. So the New York to me is going to sound most similar to this in that it's got a little bit more of the upper mid-range saturation. I'm going to keep it on the preamp mode. I'm going to push it. We'll push the saturation. I'll level match it, and then I'll bounce back and forth where I'll just bypass the Slate and turn on. Well, I'll do it down here so you don't get the clicks and pops. I'll just bypass the Slate and then turn on the Freqtube so you can kind of hear the difference. Right now we're in bypass mode. Let's turn on the Slate. Here we go.
The end of a dirt road. I never left 'cause I never really let go. Still the carefree, innocent girl whose little farm was her whole wide world. I don't wear hand-me-downs and I don't chew crab grass. A lot of things have gone in my past. Truth is deep down inside, I'm still all about bare feet and butterflies.
Okay, they're pretty level matched. I'm gonna go back to the beginning of the song. So I'm just gonna bounce back and forth between the Slate and the Freqtube. So again, keep your eyes, if you could, on the bypass buttons. You'll see the Slate, the meter will dim out, so you'll know it's in bypass mode. And then you'll know that clicking in the bottom left-hand corner of this plugin will take the Freqtube in and out, and you'll see, I'll put a little image on the clicker so you can see a little display. Then this way I don't have to put the text on the screen. Pay attention. All right, everybody, here we go. We're going to start with the slate, and then we're going to go back and forth.
Summertime and there's tiger lilies waking up on the side of the road. I've been chasing my tail way too long, and it's time that I go home. I gotta water my roots and fill my boots with memories and good old friends. Going home is like a kind of therapy, the only place where I'm gonna find me is down at the end of a dirt road. I never left 'cause I never really let go. Still the carefree, innocent girl. This little farm was her whole wide world. I don't wear hand-me-downs and I don't chew crab grass. A lot of things have gone in my past. Truth is, deep down inside, I'm still all about bare feet and butterflies.
Okay, so what do you hear? Let me know in the comments below. I'll tell you what I hear, because YouTube with the audio and the compression and whatever the hell they do to the audio, because this is kind of subtle. But what I hear, there's a difference. Okay, and I'm going to use the word different throughout this whole video. You can decide whether one is better than the other because it is so incredibly subjective. In my opinion, they both sound good, but they all sound different. So what do I hear in differences here in this example? The Slate Digital has a little bit more of the saturation on the upper frequencies, whereas you hear a little bit more mid-range in the Freqtube. Gets a little bit more warm and a little bit more mid-range push. This is more upper mids, the New York is, the Slate, upper mids and high frequencies. Okay, they're just different sounding. The low end is relatively the same. I think there's a little bit more warmth on the Freqtube on the low end, but we're talking again, subtle. Okay, now that I've said that, listen to that for yourself. We'll start with the Freqtube, bypass the Slate. We got Freaking Tube, and then we'll go over from the Freqtube to the New Yorker. Here we go.
Summertime and there's tiger lilies waking up on the side of the road. I've been chasing my tail way too long, and it's time that I go home. I gotta water my roots and fill my boots with memories and good old friends. Going home is like a kind of therapy, the only place where I'm gonna find me is down at the end of a dirt road. I never left 'cause I never really let go. Still the carefree, innocent girl. This little farm was her whole wide world. I don't wear hand-me-downs and I don't chew crab grass. A lot of things have gone.
Okay, so even in the low mids, bass guitar in particular, a little bit more fatness and warmth on the Freaky Tube or the Freqtube. On the Slate, not so much, but the Slate sounds a little bit more crunchy on the top. So it's just a different type of saturation, right? Which is really cool. Let's go from the New York, let's go to the London. Now, the thing about the London is the London tends to have a little bit more warmth. It's a little bit more creamy on the bottom end. It's probably a little more similar, in my mind, to the Freqtube, although I won't know that till we hear it, but that's what I would think. The New York tends to be a little bit more bright. The London tends to be a little bit more warm. So let's listen to that. So let's go back to the beginning of the track and hear Lori Kole once again. We'll start on the Freqtube, and then we will go over to the London, and we'll see what the differences are if there's any. Here we go.
It's summertime and there's tiger lilies waking up on the side of the road. I've been chasing my tail way too long, and it's time that I go home.
Okay, so what I hear in this example is I hear that the Freqtube, now the low end, the warmth and the fatness is a lot closer to me in the London with the Freqtube than the New York, for sure. And that's what I thought would happen. But what I feel like I hear is I hear a little bit more clarity on her vocal with the Freqtube than the London. The London kind of closes it in a little bit. Now, again, we could tweak this thing to death. We could use different settings. We could be here for 4 hours trying to make them sound exact. That's not the point of this. I'm just trying to get kind of a ballpark figure that where they sound kind of close and what are the differences. Again, you can let me know in the comments below what you think. So listen to her voice in particular, because that's where I kind of hear the difference. I almost want to back off the saturation a little bit on this thing just to see if I'm kind of closing in her vocal a little too much. So we'll start with we'll keep going with the Freqtube, then we'll go over to the London.
Just some old song, dance around the living room. And even though I know I'll have to leave again, doesn't matter 'cause where I am is down at the end of a dirt road. I never left 'cause I never really let go. Still the carefree, innocent girl whose little farm was her whole wide world. I don't wear hand-me-downs and I don't chew crabgrass. A lot of things have gone in my past.
Okay, so in this example, I tend to like the Freqtube a little bit more on Lori's voice than I do the London. Could I tweak the London a little bit to try to get closer to what I'm hearing on her vocal, a little bit more openness? I don't know. Let me try it.
Deep down inside, I'm still all about their feet and butterflies. I gotta kick off my shoes and chase something other than my next dollar.
Oops.
It's summertime and there's tiger lilies waking up on the side of the road. I've been chasing my tail way too long, and it's time that I go home. I gotta water my roots and fill my boots with memories and good old friends. Going home is like a kind of therapy, the only place where I'm gonna find me is down at the end of a dirt road. I never left 'cause I never really let go.
Okay, so no, I still like the Freqtube in this example on her voice. I mean, the London sounds great too. The London's a little bit the wrong choice for this track in my opinion. You know, it's all subjective. I would lean more towards the New York. Okay, now let's go over to the Hollywood. Now the Hollywood is going to kind of sit between the London and the New York. Okay, so again, it's more obvious when you're in preamp mode than when you're in console mode. So let's start with that. We'll start with the Hollywood, and then we'll dial that in, and we'll go back and forth between that and the Freqtube. Or the Freqtube. Here we go. Let's freak out with the Freqtube.
Still the carefree, innocent girl whose little farm was her whole wide world. I don't wear hand-me-downs and I don't chew crabgrass. A lot of things have gone in my past. Truth is deep down inside, I'm still all about.
Let's go back to the beginning. Here we go.
Summertime and there's tiger lilies waking up on the side of the road. I've been chasing my tail way too long, and it's time that I go home. I gotta
Yeah. So again, it's the Hollywood. If I wasn't using the Freqtube, the Hollywood would be my choice on this particular vocal if I was just sticking with the plugin. So now the difference between the Hollywood and the Freqtube, what I hear, again, it's more that upper mid. It's somewhere sitting in that 1 to 3K range. Seems like on the Freqtube, I feel a little bit more push than I do on the Hollywood. They both sound good, but they're different. You know, they're definitely different. And, you know, it's kind of funny. And again, this is probably just, you know, all kind of, what is it? Like, you know, just kind of a psychological thing, right? Because I work with analog all the time in my other rig over Mixing Music Analog. Check the link in the description box below. I work with hardware every single day, lots of it, and lots of tube gear. When I hear this Freqtube and I hear the tube, I go, oh yeah, that sounds like tubes to me. When I go to the plugin, I go, yeah, it sounds good. But when I compare it to actual tubes, I go, oh yeah, it doesn't sound like the actual tubes. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not knocking this plugin because I love the Slate Digital virtual tube collection. I do, I use it a lot. When I work in the box, I use it a lot. But when I hear the actual tubes in the Freqtube, that reminds me of my, you know, Audioscape opto compressor tube, my V-Comp stay level tube, Pultec tube. It sounds like that because it is that. Different tubes, I get it, but it is tubes. It's analog. The digital sounds a little different from that. Again, not better or worse, just different. So those are the three in this video. We're going to keep this one kind of short. Those are the three. When I compare them to these three plugins, what do you like? What do you think? Let me know in the description box below. They both have their place. One isn't remarkably better than the other. They just sound different. Now people can say also too, you know, you got the tactile feel of the Freqtube is killer. Where, you know, when you're using a plugin, you have to use your mouse unless you map it to a controller, something like the SSL UC1. So you can map these Slate plugins to a controller as easily as you got it here. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that you can have tactile feel with both. But yeah, this Freqtube is pretty cool. So next video, we're going to compare this to maybe like I have the Slate Saturator, which is based on a tube thing. Maybe we'll compare it also to like the Vintage Drive or the Fusion plugin, which again, it's a different type of thing, but just for fun. And then maybe like the Waves BB Tubes, that new plugin that came out that everyone was raving about that I thought was kind of okay. Let's see how that compares to that. And then you guys can let me know in the comments below. And then we'll finish up this series with part 4, where I tell you about my likes and dislikes of the Freqtube and this whole concept. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Now, if you want a Freqtube for yourself and you don't want to wait till you win the contest and you want to buy it, click the link in the description box below. Go out to Sweetwater. That is an affiliate link. Thank you so much in advance, and pick it up today if they have them in stock. I know they're a hot tamale these days. Everybody wants one of these things. So go check that out. Make sure, again, you go check out Lori Kole. Thank you so much, Lori, for letting us demo these things on your song. She's awesome. Check out her link in the description box below. And again, thank you to Freqport for sending this to me. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would, to be completely honest with you. I think it's a cool product. Anyway, thank you for sticking around till the end of the video. Make sure you go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Get that free mixing course on the homepage, right? It's my gift to you. It's $100. It's free, no strings attached. If you take that course and you dig my style of teaching, and you want to learn more from good old Uncle Dave, I got a whole online school. I'll give you 25% off any training course on the website. Just use the coupon code YouTube25. That'll take 25% off. And until the next video where we check out the Freqtube against another set of plugins, I've been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching me today. I'll see you guys in the next video.